you another part of the story of Stillwater. If you guys checked in and saw my last paranormal ghost story kind of vlog for my 100th video, this is another part of it. And I'm going to give you a little preface about it. If you didn't see the other video, please go back and watch it. It's going to give you a little information going into this one. But I think you guys are really going to like it, and I'm excited to tell the story. So let me give you some preface. So I lived when I was a kid between the ages of 8.5 to about 10 or 11. I lived on a property called, we're gonna call it Stillwater, and it was haunted, and very haunted. And my mom and I lived there as caretakers of the property. It was a big giant horse farm in Connecticut. And we had several experiences leading up to this, and we had reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, the demonologists, and my mom knew them, and they kind of put us on their like backlog list of when we get a chance, we're gonna come out and talk to these people and visit these people. And this is gonna kind of go into that visit. So let's hop into it. I told in the last video a story about we had visited this graveyard, and it was really scary, and it was a really intense moment for us, and it ramped up the activity in the home. So my mom and I now know that, you know, things are kind of escalating. My mom knows from her experience growing up in a haunted house that when things escalate, they tend to keep escalating, and we don't want it to get to a point where it's dangerous, especially because she's got her kid in the house. She doesn't want to scare the shit out of her kid. And I have scary moments here and there, but I'm not freaking out. So my mom calls Ed and Lorraine Warren again and says, look, it's getting kind of intense here. We really want you to come out and visit. And they said, okay, give us a little bit of time. We'll get right back to you. We're like, okay. So at the time, the Shining movie was being remade into a miniseries. I really highly recommend finding it, checking it out. It is scary, and I don't really care for scary movies, and it is super, super scary. And yeah, just really scary. So my mom is like, okay, and you know, they're making this Shining movie, and Ed and Lorraine Warren calls back. They say, look, they're gonna do a special before each of the mini-series episodes, and it's gonna be America's Top 100 Haunted Houses. We're kind of looking for homes to talk about. We're gonna be on the special. Do you mind if we come out and see your house? We can't guarantee it's gonna be on the show, but like we'd like to see it. And my mom was like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever it takes to get you guys here, we want to have you guys come here. And they said, okay, it's gonna be like 2 weeks or so, and we'll be out to visit you guys. And we're like, okay, we can deal with 2 weeks. So during the 2 weeks, you know, we're just going about our lives. And I had mentioned before that the owners had like rooms they didn't want us to access. And one of the rooms they didn't want us to access was the basement. They said, unless you're doing laundry, really don't want you down there. And we said, okay, like, cool. So my mom starts feeling not good in the basement. The air is heavy. It gets hot down there, just hot, and it's not good. And we start to have these moments where you're walking and you kind of feel someone bump into you or push into you, and it's not, this is actually, so I get uncomfortable telling this story because I don't like the energy that comes with it. It really makes me not feel good. But I feel like it's important for you guys to understand the scope of this. And my mom's like, oh, maybe there's something down here, and that's why they don't want us down here. But like, that's where the washer and dryer is, and we gotta do our laundry. So we're getting kind of pushed around, and my mom tells me, you don't get to come down here anymore. I'm like, okay. She's like, no, I'll just do the laundry. You don't come down here anymore. I said, okay. Whatever. I don't like it down there anywhere. It's creepy. There's no windows. It's just dirt floor in part of it, and it's black, and I don't like it. And my aunt comes over, and I have an aunt who is she's very sensitive, and to a lot of things, but she's very sensitive in particular because she's so open to the paranormal, and it tends to kind of grab at her. She gets a lot of negative energy kind of thrown at her. And she's down in the basement with my mom because she's touring the house. They haven't really seen it. She's touring the house, and she is down there, and she gets picked up and slammed against the wall. And my mom watches her, and my aunt is like 98 pounds soaking wet. She's teeny tiny. And something is slamming her against the wall, and it's holding her, and she's barely touching the ground, and she's gasping, and she can't breathe. and it lets her go, and my mom picks her up basically and just books it up the stairs. And my aunt was like, what the hell was that? We're like, we're sorry, we don't know what happened. And my mom has to go down there and get the laundry. And my aunt's like, I am never going in that basement again. We're like, yeah, no, you don't have to go back. So my mom goes down there, and there's a face on the wall. Just, she said it was the most terrifying, this face on the wall. And my aunt said that she had seen it too, and just, my mom can feel this heaviness, this cloying, grabbing pressure of heaviness on her. And it's hot, and it's icky, but the air is hot, and the grabbing, and that is ice cold, and it's not good. And my aunt's upstairs, and my aunt's like, what's wrong? My mom just books it. Fuck the laundry. Books it, goes up the stairs. And we stopped doing our laundry there. It was not gonna work for us. So my grandparents lived like 40 minutes away, and we just did our laundry at their house. It wasn't worth it to us anymore. My mom's kind of keeping notes on what's happening, and because we're gonna tell the Warrens, so when they come over, they know what they're looking for. And my mom slides this big dresser in front of the door to the basement, and it's off limits, and we're done, and we're never going down there again. I don't even know if she ever went back for the clothes that were in that washer, but no, we weren't gonna go back there. So that happens, and that's not good. And then there's another day that we both come in from the barn. We're bringing the horses in, feeding them and stuff like that, and we come inside, and the big picture window that looks out in the barn is covered in thousands of flies. Just inch deep flies. And my mom and I just look at each other. My mom and I hate bugs. We hate bugs. I don't like anything with more than 4 legs. Unless you're a radioactive frog, you need to get away from me. I don't like anything with more than 4 legs. I scream and squeal and freak out over any type of bug, and I hate them. And we just look at each other and we're like, yeah, F that, no. And we shut the door to the kitchen, and we're like, I don't care if there's a million dead flies in that room tomorrow, we are not going in there tonight. We go up to our room, and we shut the door, and we got the dogs and the cats, and we're just done. The next morning, there's not a trace of a fly to be found. And flies are generally a symbol of not good stuff in your home if they're massing like that. So that's happening, and we keep note of it. And then one day, there's this room at the front of the house called the Red Room, and the owners had asked us not to go in there and to keep the door closed. And we kind of just thought it was, they had valuables in there and they didn't want us to touch them, and we were fine with that because they had a housekeeper and we weren't in charge of cleaning it. And we don't think the housekeeper ever went in there anyways because of this. So we're hearing screaming and throwing things and bashing against the walls and books being thrown. We're hearing thuds and thuds, and my mom's like, I think I have to go in the Red Room. I don't want to go in there, and I'm not going in there because it doesn't sound safe. And my mom is, is anybody in there? Hello, do you need help? Is someone in there? I'll call the cops. Like, no response. And then everything stops, and it stops for a couple of minutes. My mom and she opens the door, and the room is trashed. There's one way in and one way out of this room, and this room is trashed, and there's nobody in there. And it's just, we call it the Red Room because they had red wallpaper and red wall hangings and like a red rug and stuff like that. And the room is trashed. Everything is the books are pulling off the shelves, and the curtains are pulled down on one side, and it's just trash. And my mom's like, oh my God. So it's a historical home. Like, this stuff's valuable. My mom is like, I don't know what's up, but I gotta clean this up. So my mom cleans this room. My mom is like the neatest person ever. She scrubs this room down. And it's perfect and pristine. And she shuts the door. And she's probably taken like an hour to clean this room. And it starts again. Screaming and throwing and curtains and just everything. And my mom was like, okay. So she waits for it to stop. And she's been outside this door this whole time. There's no one going in and out of this room. And when it stops, she goes in. And she says that it felt really heavy and icky and panicky in there. And she cleans the whole room. And she shuts the door. And it starts again. And she just went, nope. And she pieced out of there. Just out of here. Now, at the same time, like, this scary stuff is happening. We're still having positive run-ins with Eliza and the couple that sits on the bench down by the water. And we're still, you know, seeing people walking. And the gentle stuff is still happening. The good stuff is still happening. We still feel Eliza in the home. And this kind of stuff is good. And like just an example of the good stuff is, so the socialite sister comes home, basically in-home rehab because she's a drunk. And she's just squandering her family's money, and she comes home and she's living in the big house for a little while. And I think she's obviously uncomfortable. She doesn't want to be there. Like, you can tell this woman does not want to be there. And so I think her name was Susan. So Susan is there, and I mean, I was a kid, and I bet my mom remembers her name, but my mom really doesn't like this story. This makes her uncomfortable. There's a big outdoor heated pool, and it's like late fall. And I love this pool in the summer, but I'm not allowed in by myself, even though I'm a really good swimmer and always have been. But my mom's like, yeah, water safety, you can't go in there by yourself. So I'm always begging someone to take me in the pool. Please let me in the pool, please let me in the pool, please let me in the pool. My mom doesn't always have time. And Susan one day, I'm a kid, I don't know what's going on. Susan is like, come on, let's go to the pool. And I'm like, it's really cold out. And she's like, no, come on, it's gonna be fun. It's heated, it's gonna be fun, let's go to the pool. So I'm in the pool, and I'm splashing around, and it's fucking cold. And I'm starting to get really cold and like having a hard time swimming because the water's so cold. And Susan is just suddenly not there because she was drunk at the time and I didn't know. And Susan just kind of like went away, like forgot that she was watching a kid and went elsewhere. And it's really cold and there's no steps, there's just ladders. And I finally get to the ladder and I'm having a hard time getting out of the pool. And I still gotta get back to the house, and I gotta get back to the carriage house, and I'm just so wet, and I'm heavy, and I'm cold, and like, it's upsetting. And I'm having a hard time getting there, and I don't have a towel, and I'm in my bathing suit, and I'm all by myself, and it's starting to get dark, and I finally, like, I get back to the house, and I'm weak at this point. Like, I'm having a hard time moving because of how cold I am. And I hate to be cold. But so I'm all by myself, and my mom's, I don't know where she is, but I think she's at work. I know she's not at the house at this point, and I don't know where Susan is. She's just fucking gone. So I get upstairs, and there's this big clawfoot tub in our apartment area, and I'm trying to run the hot bath, but the knobs are too heavy for me to turn, and my hands are cold, and I'm shaking. And I just can't, so I'm just on the floor and I'm wrapped up in this towel. And the tub turns on. And it fills up with warm water. And it gets warmer and warmer, and the tub fills up, and the tap shuts off. And I feel okay. And I'm so cold that I don't even care. Like, oh my God, Casper could have been turning that tap on my own. I would have been fine with it. So I get in the tub. And it's warm, and I'm warming up, and I feel good. And my mom just burst through the bathroom door. And I know she wasn't at the house, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, something was wrong. Something came and told me that something was wrong. I don't know how to describe it to you, but I knew something was wrong. What's happened? And I told her what happened. You know, I was in the pool with Susan, and then she left, and it was so cold, and I had a hard time getting out, and I couldn't get the tub to turn on. And I think Eliza turned on the tub for me. And my mom got me out, and she got me wrapped up in a blanket and stuff like that. And I warmed up, and I was okay. My mom, I don't know what she said to Susan or the other sister, the veterinarian. I don't know what she said to them. But Susan wasn't there that much longer after that. We'd had some positive interactions with her, but that was, I think the veterinarian might have sent her sister money to go elsewhere, basically, because they couldn't find people to live in this house because it's haunted, and we're the only takers who've stayed, like, long term. So, I don't know if I had hypothermia, but I know that it wasn't good. I know as a kid I was scared, and I was scared when I was too weak to turn on the tub, and I know it was Eliza who came and took care of me, because Eliza was famous for kind of showing up when something was bad and making the bad thing stop. And these are the moments why people can tell me that ghosts aren't real all they want, and I know that they are. I know that they are. I know ghosts are real, I know angels are real, I know demons are real, because of stuff like this. The scary stuff that happened in the basement Sorry. My husband just flushed the toilet upstairs, and the pipes are like right there, and it scared the piss out of me. So I know that it's real because of stuff like that. But so my mom's keeping track of all this, and we would tell the Warrens, and they say, okay, we're gonna come and we're gonna visit your home with our people, and then if it meets the criteria, we'll come back with the camera people. Lorraine Warren is the nicest, sweetest person you will ever meet in your entire life. She was wonderful, and she dressed just like she does in the movie, with the big ruffled collars and the cardigans, just like a beautiful Victorian lady. And I remember that I had this little book that I had gotten at the school book fair, and it was like hauntings and sightings and stuff like that. And I got it, and it's got 2 stories about them in it, and I'm holding it because I'm going to get them to sign it. And my mom said that I can do the sit down, and they want to talk to me a little bit, but I can't do any of the investigation stuff with them. And they walk in the house, and Lorraine stops and goes, oh, well, this is a very active house. And my mom's like, yeah, that's why we called you. And I'm like, no, there's a lot of stuff here. And so they come in, and they're so kind and loving and sweet, just warm presences, and I loved them. I love them. I love them to this day. I have such good memories of the Warrens. So they come, and they're talking to me, and telling them that the kids at the bus won't come and visit because the ghost that walks up the stairs. And I've had like one friend sleep over from school at this point, and they were like, yeah, no, never again. My friend Katie slept over and was done. She was never coming back. And they're walking through the house, and they're describing it. My mom tells them about the Scarlet Room, and they're writing notes to make sure they can do their research. And, they go upstairs, and Ed is just grinning because we're in this ballroom that they have upstairs. It has a spring floor, which is a regular floor, and then springs, and then another floor at the top of it. So when you did ballroom dancing, the floor would move, and it would be better on your feet, and people could move around better. And they have one upstairs. They have a formal ballroom. And Ed's grinning because he's like, I can hear the music. And we're like, oh yeah, we hear the music all the time. He's like, we can't hear it, but he's like, I can feel it. I can feel the music. And he's like, this place is amazing. It's so alive. And they're getting all their notes. And this visit's fairly uneventful. They have a couple of run-ins that we're not aware of. Lorraine opens the basement door, slams that basement door back shut, and is like, don't ever go down there. And they walk the property, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do some research, and we'll come back. So the Red Room, a woman was promised to marry someone that she did not want to marry. And the day that her betrothed was supposed to come and collect her, she trashed the room, and she couldn't get out because they'd locked her in there, so she killed herself in the room. And they found this on their research, and they found out about Eliza, and they found out the old couple that was sitting down on the bench were a pair of runaway slaves who had come up to the north on the Underground Railroad, which was, the house was a stop on the Underground Railroad. And it was amazing to hear all this stuff that we knew was happening, and to hear justified and have the research on paperwork in front of us. And then they opened the attic with the permission of the veterinarian, and there were hiding spots in the attic for the people on the Underground Railroad who came through. And there were areas where Lorraine said she could feel where people had been saved and where people had made it this far and had died, and that old couple had made it to freedom and died, and they were buried on the property. And the veterinarian confirmed she did know that about the property, but she didn't feel like disclosing it at the time because she didn't want to scare us off because no one had stayed before, and they had all this research. So they say, we're going to put your name in the list of houses to be on this show. And so we were number 57 on America's Top 100 Haunted Houses in this early 90s special that aired right before the Shining miniseries. And I have tried for years to find this, but it was pre-internet, so it wasn't available online for streaming or anything like that. And if anybody can find a copy of America's Top 100 Haunted Houses that aired in the early 90s before the Shining miniseries premiered, I would love for you to send me a link to it because it's so important to me to find this footage, because they came back with a camera crew and I was shipped to my grandparents' house, and apparently it was a phenomenal, amazing experience. And they came and they visited our home and the property, and they told the stories, and my mom was involved, and they told us that they had done some research and that there had been a kind of like a speakeasy in the basement. It was an illegal bar. And this is probably the scariest story about the home, or not, I don't know if it's the scariest, it's probably like the most informative as to why the basement was so scary. There was an illegal bar in the basement, and there was a lot of people down there one night, and there was a fire. So it's an illegal bar. You can't tell people you have an illegal bar to call for help, to come to the illegal bar out in the middle of nowhere. And the only people in the bar are townspeople and friends of the town. So if you call somebody, the shit hits the fan, it's really bad. But there's this fire, and it's getting really bad. People start not being able to make it out, and there's a riot downstairs because people are trying to get out and they can't. There's a panic, and they don't want it to spread to the rest of the house. So they shut the door, and they blocked it. And they kept it from getting to the rest of the house by leaving all those people in the basement. And they died. Everybody down there died. And that, if there's not a better way to create an evil, malevolent spirit or demonic entity, which is what Lorraine told us we had downstairs, that was it. Now, they offered to cleanse the house for us after they filmed. And I don't know if the veterinarian received money for the taping of this special, but she said no. And I wonder if she saw it as a business opportunity. And I think that she did, because years after we left, I heard about other specials being filmed there, and like found footage kind of movies and stuff like that being done there. And I think she was collecting income from it. And I've done some research, and I have found pictures of the property, or pictures that resemble the property in the context of ghost hunting, but don't actually have the property name. So I'm kind of wondering what happened there, and I don't have all the details, and if I get more details, I'll definitely share them. But we also didn't want to lose Eliza. And I have so many stories, but I think the big one for me, was, so I've told you a lot of them, but I'll tell you this last one. Francis and Freya are two dogs. Freya was older, or a black poodle, and she started to have a hard time moving around. She was sick. And one night my mom and I are in bed, and we shared a room, and all of a sudden all the lights are on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off. And we hear howling and screaming, and my mom's like, what the hell is going on? So we're creeping down the hallway, and as we're getting down the hallway, the lights in front of us are still flashing, and the lights behind us are not. So we're going the right way. When we get to the main house portion, the stairs, you go downstairs. We go down these stairs, and there's this little entryway. and all the lights behind us are not flashing, the lights in front of us are flashing. My mom says, hey, wait a second, I'm gonna go, you just wait for a second. And my mom creeps through, and she says that she opened the door, and Eliza was sitting on the floor holding Freya, and Freya was dying. And my mom was able to get to the floor, and Eliza disappeared, and Freya died right there. But Eliza wanted to make sure that that dog did not die alone. And she was a really good dog. And Eliza took really good care of us, because when Eliza was around, none of the scary stuff was. And I physically miss living with Eliza, because she was such a positive feeling, a positive force, a positive energy in that home. And she didn't want that dog to die alone. And she didn't want me to get sick when my mom wasn't home. And I think Eliza went and got my mom. I think she sent something to my mom that said, you need to come home right now, when I was trying to get into the tub. And I think she turned on the tub for me. I think Eliza did a lot of stuff. And God, I miss that house. We moved out when I was about 10 or I think 11. I think I was 11 years old. Financial reasons, we weren't getting paid as much as we needed to be paid to live there. I was going to be going into middle school, and the middle school that was going to be available wasn't a good school. And there's just a lot of reasons. A lot of stuff that family stuff, I'm not going to spill our business here, that wasn't good stuff. And we moved back into my grandparents' home, and we left Stillwater. And I feel that ache for Stillwater in my soul. And I comb the web looking for references to it and pictures of it. And I have a picture of it in my memories book, and my pony that was there, Joe. And there's just so much about that home that I miss. But Eliza is one of those things that I really, really miss. And it's also one of the reasons that I don't ever want to live in a house that's not haunted, because I don't want to be alone. I have a very friendly ghost here named Frank, who's been great to me. And I'll tell you guys about Frank in another video, because it's getting kind of late and I gotta go upstairs and take care of the baby. But thanks for sitting with me and hearing the story. I didn't think I'd get this emotional about it, honestly, but God, I miss that house. But thanks for coming by, and if you have comments, if you want to see more videos like this, put some comments down below. If this is something you'd be okay with being regularly incorporated into my channel, I'd love to do a lot of this and talk about this kind of stuff in addition to the makeup, and because makeup's not going anywhere. But thank you for hanging out with me, and pop some comments down below, hit that like button, please share this. Check me out on Instagram at broomstick88, and talk to you guys later. Bye.